Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy ITE back again with another Wizard 101 episode. This one's gonna be one that has been requested for quite some time, and it is a really good episode. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. So, what I decided to go ahead and make is a Wizard 101 PvP school tier list. So, that should be pretty cool. It is gonna be obviously opinion based, so you guys are free to disagree, but based on my experience playing this game for a long time, this is what I believe are the strongest schools nowadays. And yeah, this could change in the future for sure. Some of them are way better off, but yeah, you guys obviously know you can play with any school and you can make it work out for yourself. But yeah, let's just get right into this. Make sure you guys smash that like button once again and subscribe if you guys are new. Let's do it. Alright, this is the tier list that I found on the internet. I'll leave the link in the description below so you guys can check it out for yourself. Once again, this is going to be based on, for me, level 65 PvP. Once again, this is legendary PvP. Can change drastically for max level PvP, obviously. But I think like it just kind of carries out the same. Usually schools that have an advantage throughout all levels. It is very rare to find a school like, less advantages at a higher level. But yeah, so we got balance, death, fire, ice, life, myth, and storm. F is absolute doo doo. Once again, S is God tier, and this is gonna be fun. Make sure you guys do let me know below in the comment section if you guys agree or disagree. And yeah, so I'm going to be starting off with obviously F tier, and I'm sorry for all of you guys who played this school. This is just how I feel about this school, and honestly, like there's a lot of reason as to why the school can also be in like a higher tier, but in my opinion, Storm is F tier. So the reason I say that is because Storm is one of those schools that I feel like when I played in PvP, it was such highly reliant on luck, and in PvP that's not really a good thing because as a person, like me, I'm really well experienced with PvP and I like skill-based classes, and I just found myself like losing a lot of matches based on luck, and then having to rely on luck. That's also another big thing. Storm is like you're forced to rely on luck, obviously, with the insane ball and hitting yourself 80% chance, etc. So I feel like Storm is it's really good, obviously, for solo PVE. Once again, this is for PvP. So for PVE, this might as well just be S tier. But I feel like in PvP, it just doesn't really stand well against like some of the major players that we have down here. Okay, so once again, you guys are free to disagree, but I feel like Storm does make it into F tier. Moving on to the next school. I'm not gonna say like D tier, etc., but I feel like some schools can just be in the same tier level. I'm going to go ahead with Ice. Without a doubt, I think it's pretty obvious where Ice goes. A lot of people are going to agree with this one. It's very obvious where Ice goes. S tier. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons as to why Ice is S tier. Ice is just absolutely broken in the game. They have the most health, they have the most resist. They're like the spells that they use. Obviously like Winter Moon, and like the big old ice dude for the shadow spell. Forgot the name. Pretty much all those spells. Like it's really tactical. Ice in the hands of a well skilled player is just absolutely broken. It doesn't really rely on luck that much, but if you are lucky with ice, you pretty much win the game. So you might get like bad luck and still win. With storm, that is not the case. You will almost most definitely lose if you get bad luck because it just relies on luck usually, 100%. Yeah, so I feel like ice combined with health, resist, and the spells that they actually use just deserves to be an S tier. Absolutely destructive class. And yeah, just moving on to the next school. This school could actually be along with ice in S tier. But here's the reason why I put fire in A tier. Okay, I just feel like an ice versus a fire, the ice will have the upper hand. That's the way I put it. But then if you put fire against like any of these other schools, most likely fire will have the upper hand. That's just the way I feel about it. You guys obviously are free to disagree, but I just feel like fire doesn't really have as much health as ice. And I mean this. Okay, so here's the other sort of like twist to it. Fire does have a lot of skills, like obviously like spells, right? That are really good tactically. Like if free, obviously the minus 90%, and then rampage. So if they had a shield, you break the shield, and the overtime, like the overtime spells, the combos with fire are really well. But I feel like nowadays, it's really easy to counter fire. Like Yeah, a lot of you guys can disagree, obviously, but I just feel like it's easy to counter fire, whereas like ice is really hard to counter. That's really like what makes the difference here. They're both like equally, in my opinion, equally good. It's just that like it's much harder to counter ice compared to fire. I feel like you guys can agree on that, right? Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next class. Let's kind of jump around the list here. Myth. Okay. Let's just go straight to it. C class. Okay, you guys can go ahead and roast me in the comments. So the thing with me and Myth is I felt like Myth always relied on blading up, which is just absolutely not that good nowadays with obviously enfeeble and pets can have enfeeble. So relying on blading up is actually really bad. And Myth is really heavy on blading up. Obviously Orthoris is nice. It's kind of like Rampage or Deadly Minotaur, where you hit, take away the shield, and you hit again. So Orthoris is good. See, the only reason like I feel like this should probably be higher, like B, is because actually we'll put it at B. Is because of Medusa. Medusa and Myth is just insane. So if you guys didn't know, Medusa obviously is a 2-round stun. So you hit, it hits, I mean, it does a lot of damage. It does like a good like 1200 at like legendary with no blades, nothing. If you have good damage, which is like more than a lot of people's health at that level. Once again, this is legendary PvP tier list. Yeah, I feel like Myth, just if it didn't rely on blading up, it would probably compete with Ice. Ice doesn't really need to blade up; it can just do whatever it wants. You know what I mean? Fire can, but doesn't really have to. Whereas Myth like has to blade up. That's where I feel like that kind of goes. Okay, so I feel like B is a good place for it. All right, moving on to the next one. So we have balance, death, and life. Okay, so this one's gonna be a little bit trippy. You're gonna be like, why would you put balance there? Well, if you guys didn't know, loremaster actually got a nerf recently, which is the only reason why balance isn't like up here without a doubt. Like 2 3 months ago, balance would be here, like actually in front of ice. Before like the loremaster nerf, obviously. But now I feel like balance probably is just A. Um, I feel like balance is A. Once again, balance, mana burn, judgment. Lore Master is still really good. The bubble pop, that's just broken. Like to bubble pop people for that much damage. First of all, you take away like their power, like enhancements, which is the bubble that they have, and then you put damage on them, and it's only like 2 pips, like 2 gold pips. It's really really useful. It's like some of the skills that balance have are just insane. The damage output isn't really the greatest, but like as a balance, you can really change the pace of the match. I feel like, and that's why balance is here. And then we have 2 classes left. Dun dun dun. Look at Storm, just lonely in the F tier. So we have life and death. Okay, let's start off with death. Death, I feel like is probably C class, C tier. Now, here's the reason why I feel like you guys can disagree. There's really insane death PvPers out there. Obviously, if you guys know a few content creators, you can tell me below in the comment section. But I know there's like some crazy death PvPers. But just realistically speaking, if you wanted to win in PvP Legendary, you would not go with death. You know what I mean? Maybe in high levels, if you like max level, death is really good because you can regain a lot of health. You can pretty much like get 4k health back with a lot of the skills like Lulu and stuff. But I feel like for legendary, death isn't really that good, if that makes sense. I feel like death is probably the only class that I'm like, okay, as they level up, it's not the same like disadvantage that they have for sure. So I feel like death is C class. Once again, you can probably like be a warlord. I have a warlord actually. I mean, I used to. Now he's exalted, but I had a Storm Warlord, like at level 65, so it's definitely doable for sure. But like based on this list, this is how I feel like, advantage wise, the schools rank up, right? Now we have Lonely D tier and we have Life. Now, D tier is apparently not going to be occupied by any school. That's just the way I feel like it. Life, once again, is a really tricky class. I know I've said this before. Obviously, like as the schools level up, like it's different. I just feel like at legendary, you're like, okay, let's be honest, right? You go into a match, you see a life, like you're like, oh my god, yes, finally, like I might win. Like people are really intimidated by life, and that just comes to show like they're not really. That's why like life can't be up here in S tier, right? Life just isn't that intimidating, mainly because they can't really do that much damage. And realistically, the only threat they pose is they can just heal back a lot of damage. So when you verse a life, like the only intimidation that you have is usually most likely you're afraid that you might run out of cards, or if they're Jade heal spamming, and obviously like the tanking strategy. That's the only thing you have basically when you verse a life that you're scared of. Whereas like you go against an ice, you're like, oh my god, he's probably gonna take no damage and he's gonna like melt me down. Fire, like here comes a free balance. You're about to get bubble popped, comboed and womboed and everything. Like life doesn't really have none of that. Besides like well, I mean, see the shadow spells are really good, but like as at legendary, life isn't intimidating. The only way most lives have really high rank at legendary is because of probably Jade heal. That's probably the only reason, and that's not intimidating. That obviously you go into a match, you can just leave the match. But yeah, this is basically the tier list, you guys. At S tier we have ice. At A we have fire. Before the balance, obviously I can switch the order. Like if I feel like balance is better than fire. Then we have in B tier. I feel like anything under B tier is when it starts to become reliant on like how skilled the player is. Anything B and above is usually like like the school is already good enough. With your skills, you can only make it better, etc. But yeah, so in B tier we have myth and life, and then in C tier we have death, and then we shoot all the way down to F tier and we have storm. Now to finish this off, I want to say this in the future, right? KI can actually do a lot to improve this list. I really need to see something happen to Storm. Okay, Storm doesn't get that much love. Now, understandably, if you don't do PvP, Storm is a lot of fun. Okay, because if you're just leveling up, you're questing, Storm is easy to like do a lot of damage. You're always loved in parties and everything. But when it comes to PvP, you're like guaranteed to just get dropped. Like you're probably gonna get gassed. So that's just the way I feel about it. Like Storm is really powerful, but it's so easy to kill. Like when you go against the Storm, like you just make sure you shield, and then you just if you don't get crit for max bolt, like you're usually almost always fine. So it's just like that's why I feel like Storm is all the way at the end. I can see Storm getting more health in the future, getting different spells really, like just something defensive. Storm really just needs more defense, so they don't always have to rely on just hitting, 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 and trying to kill before like the fifth round, before they die or whatever. But yeah, this is the finalized tier list, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this far. Let me know below in the comment section if you guys want to see more of these type of videos. I can do one for like specific spells within a school. I can do one for PvE if you guys want to see Storm shoot all the way up there. And yeah, and then you got Ice will obviously drop all the way over there. But yeah, like it's really interesting how these tier lists are set up. Once again, I do lots of different games. If you guys want to see me upload more Wiz content, let me know. And if this video gets a lot of love, once again, that will also let me know. Yeah, it's been your boy ITE. Once again, stay cool, stay safe. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe. I see you guys in the next one, and peace.